On January 14, 2026, at 9:13 a.m., the Sikhio District of Thailand became the site of one of the worst infrastructure disasters in recent history. Special Express Train number 21 was traveling at 120 kilometers per hour through a construction zone where a massive 1,350 metric ton launching gantry was positioned 20 meters above the active tracks. Without warning, the structure and a precast concrete rail slab collapsed, crushing the second carriage and killing 30 people instantly. This failure has frozen a multi-billion-dollar national rail project and led to the total blacklisting of an international construction joint venture. For now, we're piecing the details together based on what's surfacing from the site as of January 20th, 2026. The failure at railway kilometer marker 220, situated between Nongnam Kun and Sikhio stations, was not a result of mechanical fatigue or a sudden weather event. It was the predictable outcome of an operational decision that violated safety protocols. At the heart of this tragedy was a high-risk setup created by the Thai-Chinese high-speed rail's elevated construction directly over the existing ground-level tracks. Despite the project being 99% complete, the contractors made a fatal decision to perform elevated work over the line while passenger trains were permitted to continue their service, disobeying orders prohibiting such activity during train passage. The engineering root of the collapse lies in the gantry's anchoring system. To support a massive launching gantry machine, standard operating procedures dictate the use of 4 vertical high-strength post-tensioning (PT) bars. These anchors are designed to secure the gantry support legs to the concrete pier caps, ensuring that the downward forces transfer directly into the substructure through compression. However, forensic investigations by the National Civil Engineer Association revealed that on the morning of January 14th, the crew utilized only 2 horizontal PT bars to secure a critical support leg. By switching the orientation and reducing the number of anchors, the crew forced the steel bars to handle the load in shear, a direction where high-strength steel is significantly more vulnerable. The moments leading up to the impact were filled with warning signs. The crane operator, 52-year-old Sambat Simthantuk, reported hearing a sound similar to uneven concrete joints sliding, followed by a high-pitched grinding of metal. He managed to order workers to clear the platform, but for the passengers of Special Express number 21, there was no warning. As the train entered the zone at 120 kilometers per hour, the lateral load on the 2 horizontal bars reached its limit. The steel anchors suffered a catastrophic shear failure, snapping with the force of an explosion and causing the 20 to 30-ton support base to buckle. The gantry and the concrete slab plummeted 20 meters, striking coach number 2, a diesel rail car, with such force that it was sliced in half. The impact triggered an immediate fire, and the derailment of the following coach left victims trapped in a wreckage of twisted steel and smoke. This decision was not an isolated engineering choice, but part of a broader push to meet project schedules. By bypassing the time-consuming process of full vertical anchoring for each segment, the joint venture sought to shave days off the schedule for Section 3 to 4. In heavy civil engineering, time is often money, but at Sikhio, the cost was measured in human lives. The forensic analysis of the snapped PT bars showed clear evidence of brittle fracture, a hallmark of steel subjected to forces outside its design parameters. The mechanical failure was the final link in a chain of human decisions that prioritized pace over physics. To understand the sheer magnitude of the failure, we must respect the machine that fell. A launching gantry is not merely a crane. It is a specialized, self-propelling, walking factory designed to assemble bridge segments span by span. This specific unit, deployed for Contract 3 to 4 of the Bangkok-Nong Khai high-speed corridor, was a massive behemoth. Its purpose was to move precast concrete segments weighing hundreds of tons each and precisely position them atop piers to form the viaduct. These machines are the backbone of modern infrastructure, allowing for rapid construction across valleys and over active roads without requiring a massive ground footprint. The stability of a launching gantry depends on a robust foundation. When the machine launches itself forward to the next pier, its legs must be mated to the pier caps using post-tension steel bars that exert thousands of kilonewtons of force. This squeeze creates a rigid connection that allows the gantry to act as a cantilevered arm, reaching out over the gap. The engineering behind these machines is precise, accounting for wind loads, dynamic shifts during segment lifting, and the vibrations caused by local traffic. However, the entire system is predicated on the vertical integrity of the anchors. In a standard configuration, the vertical PT bars are pre-stressed to ensure the gantry leg never lifts off the pier, even under maximum eccentric loading. When the ITD CREC crew modified this to a two-bar horizontal arrangement, they effectively removed the machine's primary defense against overturning. Launching gantries are designed to manage load and tension and compression. They are not mobile frames meant to survive lateral shear forces on a halved anchoring system. By using only two horizontal bars, the contractor shifted the entire load onto a much smaller surface area of steel, inviting the very shear failure that occurred. The complexity of these machines also includes an array of sensors designed to monitor load distribution and structural tilt. Investigators are currently looking into why these fail-safe mechanisms were either bypassed or failed to activate. A massive machine does not simply fall. It provides a sequence of telemetry data that should have signaled an immediate halt. The fact that the gantry was under load while a train passed suggests that the automated safety interlocks, standard on modern bridge building equipment, were likely deactivated or ignored by site personnel, in violation of safety protocols prohibiting elevated work during train passage. The humanitarian cost of the Sikhio disaster has left the nation in a state of shock and mourning. Among the 30 fatalities were a German national and a South Korean citizen, while 69 others were left with life-altering injuries. The tragedy was exacerbated by the design of the modern air-conditioned carriages. The automatic electric doors failed to open when the impact cut the train's power, trapping passengers inside Coach 2 as fire consumed the front section. Forensic teams spent days identifying victims, many of whom were crushed or burned beyond recognition. In response to the scale of the loss, King Vajiralongkorn and Queen Sutita provided funerary expenses for the families and accepted the injured as patients under royal care. The corporate and political consequences for the contractor, Italian Thai Development, ITD, were immediate and severe. Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul issued an order to blacklist the ITD-CREC joint venture from all future state contracts. This is a massive blow to ITD, which had won at least 213 state projects over the previous decade, with a total value exceeding 134 billion baht. The Ministry of Transport has suspended all construction along the Northeastern Railway and launched a nationwide audit of every elevated infrastructure project managed by the firm. The State Railway of Thailand, SRT, has filed both criminal and civil lawsuits, seeking hundreds of millions in damages for the destruction of the Special Express and the paralysis of the national rail line. The financial fallout extends beyond compensation. The entire 253-kilometer Phase 1 of the high-speed rail, which was already facing hurdles at Ayutthaya and Don Mueang, is now under intense scrutiny. The 1.49 million THB payout per victim is just the beginning. The state must now fund the completion of the project through the seizure of performance bonds and bank guarantees. For ITD, a publicly listed firm, the double blow of the Sikhio collapse and a second crane failure on Rama 2 Road the very next day has triggered immediate halts and reviews on multiple active transport projects. This double accident has created a cloud over the company's future that no amount of corporate apology can easily clear. Beyond the immediate wreckage, the disaster has sparked a global debate on the safety of the Belt and Road projects. Foreign media, from ABC News to Reuters, have highlighted the Sikhio disaster as a symptom of structural safety problems within Thailand's large-scale strategic initiatives. The involvement of Chinese entities in the joint venture has also drawn attention to the nominee shareholder scandals and the lack of integration in safety policies between local and international partners. The price of negligence at Sikhio is not just a line item in a contractor's budget. It is a fundamental loss of public trust in the modernization of the nation's infrastructure. The investigation into the Sikhio disaster has exposed a troubling history of safety violations by the lead contractor. ITD has been linked to 3 major structural failures in recent years, including the 2025 collapse of the State Audit Office building, a 30-story tower that fell during a Myanmar earthquake, killing around 95 people, and the March 2025 Rama 3 to Dao Kanong Expressway beam collapse on Rama 2 Road, killing 5 and injuring 27, as well as repeated crane incidents on the same road. These were not isolated incidents. They were symptoms of a systemic failure in safety culture where project deadlines were prioritized over engineering rigor. Reports suggest that similar issues with materials and procedures may have contributed, drawing scrutiny from authorities like the Department of Special Investigation. The most damning revelation was the violation of safety protocols between construction and rail operations. Despite the gantry being under load directly over the active tracks, elevated work continued in defiance of orders prohibiting such activity during train passage. Train number 21 was cleared into the zone, highlighting a lack of integration, where construction safety officers and rail traffic controllers operate in silos, a recurring flaw in mega projects that bypass traditional regulatory checks. The machine was technically capable, but it was placed in an impossible situation by human operators who ignored the basic laws of structural stability. The legal fallout has also reached the highest levels of corporate management. President Premchai Karnasuda and others have been indicted on charges of professional negligence causing death and related violations stemming from previous site failures, with investigations now extending to Sikhio. The government is now fast-tracking enhanced oversight systems, including a scorecard approach for contractors intended to prevent companies with poor safety records from bidding on state projects again. However, for the 30 families mourning their loved ones, these reforms come far too late. The wreckage at kilometer 220, where a massive launching gantry still sits mangled with the remains of a diesel rail car, serves as a permanent physical indictment of an industry that forgot its first principle. Safety is the foundation of every structure. As Thailand begins the long process of auditing its infrastructure and clearing the wreckage at kilometer 220, the lesson for the heavy machinery industry is clear. A massive machine is a marvel of productivity, but it is also a liability of unimaginable scale if not handled with absolute integrity. The tragedy at Sikhio serves as a grim reminder that every lapse in a project of this scale has a price, and on January 14th, that price was 30 lives. The project may eventually resume, but the legacy of Sikhio will forever be a haunting warning to those who build the foundations of the future. The machine was a masterpiece. The procedure was a failure. Thanks for watching Hard Hat Industries, your source for serious machines doing real work. If you like this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. Until then, keep your head down and your gear running.